Hey guys, it's Rahul, and I'm going to do a video blog right now about the silver shortage myth. I know I may get some negative feedback on it, some thumbs down, but you know what? It's better to speak my mind rather than lie to you guys, rather than getting more likes than dislikes. If you look at the silver shortage situation, a lot of these guys are saying, hey, there's a silver shortage, this and that, and look at the premiums at APMEX. Look at the premiums at Gainesville. Look at the premiums at your local dealer. Well, if you look at the premiums, they're $7, $8 over spot last week. It's probably a little lower this week. But if you look at where APMEX was buying the price of silver, buying silver eagles from individuals earlier this year, it must have been February. I have a link right now that I could post in my YouTube video. Well, first of all, these premiums were around $5 an ounce, $6 an ounce, depending on whether you paid by check or credit card. And in addition, they were buying back silver at $34 an ounce. This was APMEX, right? When silver was at its highs for this year. Everybody thought that it'd go much higher. So if they're buying it at $34 an ounce, what does that mean right now for them if they still have that silver on hand? Remember, silver didn't go up that much right after that. So they're probably at a loss based on that silver that they purchased earlier this year. So if you look at it, why are the premiums higher? Part of the reason is that, number one, this silver that they bought earlier, they're underwater on. So they have to protect their you-know-what in order to not have that much of a loss. Because if they start selling at a loss, you know what? They can't make payroll. They cannot make all these payments. They cannot make their debt covenant payments. They cannot pay their bills. The list goes on and on and on. The purpose of owning a business, obviously, is to make a profit. So that's why, in my opinion, part of the reason why silver prices are much higher is because, hey, guess what? The prices of silver have gone down, and they're underwater on their investments. And I was going with this with John Manfreda. He's one of my friends who's come on here a few times on my program, and he doesn't believe that there's a silver shortage situation. And if you also look at it, all these retailers, especially the big ones, APMEX, Gainesville Coins, they have their own inventory. And when you have all this massive buying, and especially when the prices have gone down, what would these coin dealers do? Would they hold supply off the market? I've heard stories of this. I can't confirm it, but some of these guys most likely are keeping their coins off the market, because if they bought coins at $34 an ounce this year, silver eagles, then guess what? They're going to probably keep these coins off the market. That would be the smartest thing to do. In addition, all these firms with inventory on hand, large stocks of inventory, they deal with just-in-time inventory. They have a certain amount of inventory because A, the bank wants them to have some inventory just in case they have to liquidate for whatever reason. And two, is they look at the past, these retailers, determining what type of inventory they should have on hand based on how much flows you have coming in and out of the system. So this is what just-in-time inventory is. You just have enough to last you a few days just in case you have a panic buying situation. And we had this panic buying situation. So what either happened at these firms was that there's a just-in-time inventory situation, or they're keeping the inventory off the market. They're keeping the silver off the market because they're most likely underwater on their investments. Sure, they hedge, especially APMEX and Gainesville, but still, you don't want to be at a loss. And another thing to note is, how does this silver shortage situation deal? Or, how do firms acquire silver? Well, they go to the mines, right? And then the mines sell it to the dealers that mint the coins, right? And it takes some time to try to mint some of these coins, right? Because you have to deal with embossing, you have to deal with dyes, you have to deal with production schedule, you have to deal with labor. So if you have, number one, all these individuals buying gold and silver, and these firms, the retailers, like the APMEX or the Gainesville, they get all their inventory cleared, they have to go to the mint. And then these mints will have to produce these coins. The U.S. Mint actually does the silver eagles, but there are a lot of other mints that create other types of silver coins. So what's most likely happening is, if you have all this excess demand right now, some of these retailers clearing out their inventory, or holding their inventory off, you're going to have production problems at these mints, right? The US Mint probably, the other mints such as maybe a Mulligan Mint, the list goes on and on and on. I don't know all the mints off the top of my head, but this is what's going on. They probably have production problems right now because of all this demand for bullion. And another thing I wanted to note is I've witnessed this firsthand. When there is a lot of orders going through, especially where the place where I work at a place that deals with dyes, embossing, and all that. On the accounting side, but I noticed that when our firm dealt with an NBC Today show client, well, what happened was this client had a product showed on NBC Today, and we got all these orders coming in. And as a result, that created an inventory problem, that created a production schedule problem, and people were working 7 days a week for 3-4 weeks straight. And the bosses even asked me if I was ready to do some work in the production schedule or in the production office, which is crazy, right? I'm an accountant. I'm not supposed to do that stuff. But that's how desperate they were getting for people to come in and work. This is what happens when you have a production issue. And this is what happened, number one, in my opinion, or this could have been what's happening, especially 2 weeks ago when you had this Boston Marathon gold dip, right? You had a just-in-inventory time issue, and you also had a production schedule issue as well. And here's where I may disagree with the guys like Don Harold and Silver Futurist. Where I disagree with them is that this probably was a raid done by central banks and other entities as well. I think it was a coordinated attack. This is where Don and I disagree. Don thought this was most likely a natural occurrence based on the conversations that I had with him. And this is the reason why you're having these dislocations within the marketplace. Some people are saying, hey, it's because of silver shortage. No, this is where I disagree with a lot of individuals in the retail arena and also a lot of guys on YouTube. I see the negative comments. I saw some of my videos posted on Ron Paul's site or one of his site where his fans go to, the Daily Paul, and saying that, hey, Silver Futurist, Don Harold, and I were morons. Okay, whatever. But this is the talk going on in the silver community. Most guys think that there's a silver shortage. In my opinion, that's a myth. Another thing to note, the U.S. Mint is producing more silver, or is cranking out more silver bullion than in the past. I mean, if you look at the numbers, the amount of silver continues to rise, obviously because of better mining techniques. So to say that there's a shortage, you need to think about this. But anyways, I've spoken a lot about this now. I wanted your take. Is there a silver shortage in your opinion? Yes or no? Comment below. And if you agree with me, just hit the like button. But I expect a lot of guys to, number one, give me a thumbs down. But I don't care. I'm going to speak my mind rather than hold it in. Thanks a lot, guys. And I'll do some interviews later this week. Talk to you again soon. Bye.